So we are focused on renewables, we are focused on batteries, and most of our power will come from that. But there will be times of the day that we need base load power. And it's not you can have base load power, just a little bit of it. You have to have enough to replace fully the amount of renewables you put in there. So the investment is quite large. And whoever tells you that it can be done differently is lying to you. You have to have base load power as a backup, especially if you're an island. Jamaica does not have the ability to import or export energy. So Jamaica has to have ample redundancy. And the same as the Dominican Republic, we are forced to have redundancy because there's no way to import or export power. Now, going the road of renewables, going to clean energy, going to zero emissions or to lower emissions. For instance, one of the key elements is the transport industry. 4 years ago, I bought a Tesla. Actually, it was more than this. 2016, I got my Tesla. I remember it was right when Hillary Clinton lost the election for Donald Trump. How could I forget that day? It was November 8th. So I got my Tesla, and I went to New York, I drove it, and I said, this is the best car I've ever driven. And as a result of that, 3 years later, we had installed the first meters in the first charging stations in the Dominican Republic. And today we have in the Dominican Republic over 600 charging stations. And we have developed markets in Mexico, Aruba, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Panama. We have over 15,000 charging stations throughout Latin America. And why do we do this? Because we feel that the future is with clean transportation, and that will reduce emissions tremendously. And a country like Jamaica, if it has a very viable energy base and has a lot of renewables, can be an example to the rest of the world. Yesterday, I was in Panama. I was in Panama for 3 days, starting Monday. Yesterday, I flew to the Dominican Republic to inaugurate the first hub, you could call it an energy hub, for, it's called, in Spanish, we call it electrolinera, first energy station that is all electric chargers, with pizza restaurant, with a fast food store, with electric car renting company. It's really one of those things that is, you look at it and it looks very futuristic. It's called Evergo Connect, and it's right. It's 100% of the energy we produce there, and we charge cars with is solar energy. So if we have a big sign that says, "Charge your car with the sun."
It's nice.
And that's what we can do.
I wanted to say, in terms of the move to bring more EV mobility to Jamaica, the question would be two things. One, there's a legislative framework which would allow for the arrival of the charging stations ability, or the capacity for charging stations, and that would then take the entrepreneurs something like ATL, which brings in the ideas this brand, to be able to say we can now furnish the market with these things. How do you foresee the build up of that way based on your experience in the other markets?
Well, first of all, you have to remove people's range anxiety. Most people, I've experienced this with my own family. My wife says, "Oh, I'm not going to drive an electric car. What happens if I'm left without power and then I'm on the road?" Her sister was even worse. And so what I said is, I went, and her sister had this gas-guzzling tower, GM car, and she was always saying that it cost her more to go to business in La Romana, in Casa de Campo, because the price of gasoline kept rising. So I gave her this BYD, beautiful SUV BYD, and we represent a company called Wallbox, and Wallbox makes these intelligent chargers for the home or for the industry. So we put an intelligent Wallbox in her house, in her apartment, and she is thrilled beyond belief. She knows when her car needs charging. She knows how far it will get her. We gave her an app for her phone so that she knows if she's driving outside the area, she knows where she can charge. And our applications for smartphones are state-of-the-art. We developed the software in the Dominican Republic, which we are using here in Jamaica. I don't know how many chargers we have here. I think we have over 150 now, and growing very fast. So I think once you remove people's range anxiety, especially ladies, ladies are more prone to worry about that than men are. So once you do that, it's the chicken and the egg. The charger is there. People will then realize that it's easy and safe to have an electric vehicle. I would not, in my house we only drive electric vehicles. I would not drive anything else. There's a gentleman sitting right here, front row, who is a director of our company, and he's the only one in our company that doesn't have an electric car. He promised he would get one. If he doesn't, I'm going to give him one as a present.
What are the ranges? New models of cars are getting longer ranges in terms of charging. There's also the capacity for the chargers themselves to be more efficient in terms of their deadlines. Could you tell us a bit about this?
Again, this whole world is going through a very rapid evolution. Cars, I mean, a normal car, a BYD or a Tesla or a Model Y will have 300-mile ranges. 300 miles doesn't really mean 300 miles. 300 miles depends on how fast you're going. But at 60 miles an hour, you should have a 300-mile range using an air conditioning system. And that should be fine. I mean, for a country like Jamaica, I don't know what the distance from Kingston to Montego is, but it's probably 120 miles, no more than that. Right? I don't know. So, I mean, and what we do is we put chargers all along the routes that are most frequently transited. So the car is evolving. They're getting more and more range. Batteries are becoming more efficient. And the chargers, yesterday we inaugurated 29 fast chargers, 255 kilowatts each. That will charge most cars, most of the modern cars, in 15 minutes. Now, while you're charging your car, you're buying some things at the mini market, or you're having a pizza at one of our restaurants, or having a coffee, or watching a sports event at one of our big screen TVs. This is the way the world is going. Now, in a few years, you'll probably have cars with 800-mile ranges instead of 300. Things will improve. Everything has improved. Technology is moving very quickly. So, and prices are coming down. Minister Vaz was telling me that he had bought some buses, CNG buses for the north. I I would love to see a day when he tells me that the country is old, because they have better emissions. A CNG bus will be much better than a diesel bus. It's much cleaner, and the engines will last longer. But I would love to see a day when bus prices come down sufficiently that he will want to buy for the government, for transportation, buses that are electric. Because there you don't have to worry about having all the infrastructure to bring gas into a country that does not produce it. So what I think, I see the future where we can stress the fact that transportation is being charged with the wind, with the sun, with hydropower, and with clean energy. And that, usually in most countries, 15% of the energy cost.
I know for Ahmed's Jamaica, probably was tending to be on the top end in terms of what those costs are. Would we then begin to see some sort of saving moving forward if there's greater adoption and then greater supply in terms of clean and safe energy?
Well, I'll give you an example. We last year, or a little over a year ago, we inaugurated in the Dominican Republic a system that is 100% solar battery renewable energy for an island called Saona. Saona Island is about twice the size of Manhattan. It has probably the most beautiful beaches you've ever seen. They get 1 million tourists a year as day trippers. We went in there and we put in 5 megawatts of solar and batteries. And 700 citizens that used to have to travel 19 kilometers by boat to get ice or water now have clean water. They have 24/7 clean power. And they cook with the sun. We provided every citizen of that island with an electric stove. Now, that's a micro example of what can be done in mining communities, how you can bring to a community this type of solution. We think that the combination of solar and batteries can, in smaller communities, where there's really no need for very large amounts of power at certain times of the day, you can solve that problem. And I should also point out that all the vehicles on the island are electric. So there's no need to bring gasoline in boats as they used to. Those poor people the fishermen had to go get ice by the time they went 40 kilometers by boat to get ice and go fishing. By the time they got to the fishing site, most of the ice had melted. So then the fish had to be sold the same day as fast as they could because it would spoil. You bring a lot of solutions to a community, and if you can do it with renewable energy, that's the way to go. I think that renewable energy will reduce the volatility that we are subjected to by the stupidity of the big powers that are always fighting in the Middle East for some stupid reason or another, and give us tranquility in pricing and in the cost of fuels. This war in Ukraine, we were buying LNG at $8 a million BTUs. The war brought the price of imported LNG up to $100 a million BTUs if you take the TTF indicator in Holland. How do you plan an economy